Hello everyone, if you could please do me a favor and close your eyes. Imagine growing up wanting to go to the NBA or WNBA. You work your butt off all the way to high school and you got a Division I scholarship to play at Duke University. You become a household name, people screaming your name, wearing your jerseys, asking for autographs. And just as you're about to go into the WNBA or NBA, you suffer a career-ending injury. You can open your eyes now. How many of you follow college sports? And if you do so, put it down in the comments below on what schools you follow. Today, I'm going to talk to you on why college athletes should get paid. College athletes should be paid because they bring in revenue, they are at risk of injury, and it will help them financially. The NCAA will not be the NCAA if it wasn't for college athletes. In this picture right here, you can see two college athletes pulling a Rolls Royce. And when you think of Rolls Royce, you think of high-end, expensive, and wealthy. And that's why the NCAA is there. Because the NCAA makes about $1.6 billion a year off college students. And the biggest reason why the NCAA makes a lot of their money is because of March Madness. March Madness, if you add these two numbers up, March Madness brings them about $950.8 million a year alone. Women's and men's March Madness. And the other sports bring in about 149 in total. And you must be wondering, where's all this money going to? Because $1.1 billion is a lot. And here in this picture, you can see the breakdown of where the numbers or where the money is going to. But if you add this up and you really look at it, you will see that they make this totals out to about $955.9 million, which is just $144.1 million short, which could potentially be going towards college athletes. And on top of that, risk is a big factor. About 90% of athletes throughout their college career do in fact get injured. And even to add on to that, 50% play through the injury, which can cause a greater risk of a career-ending injury. Two individuals that I got a great opportunity to talk to were Eric Lagarde. He was a Rutgers defensive tackle in 2010, where he suffered a massive spinal injury, which left him paralyzed from the shoulders down. Thank God, luckily, he was able to, slowly regain motion in his fingers. However, I got a chance to talk to him, and he was telling me how that he wished the NCAA would have paid him because now, God forbid, he is paralyzed, but he is unable to, start anything because he's already in debt because the NCAA took away his scholarship because he is no longer an athlete. So he has to rely heavily on academics, which he didn't focus on because he didn't believe that he would have needed it. And secondly, I got to talk to Inky Johnson. Inky Johnson was born in Atlanta in a rough neighborhood and believed that, he loved the game of football and he believed that that was his way out. So he worked so hard. He got a scholarship to the University of Tennessee, where he worked his butt off, and he was projected going into his junior year a top 30 pick. And before he was able to get into it, the third game of the season, the NCAA college football season, he had a spinal injury which stopped his whole right side from moving at all, and he could have potentially died from it. And we were talking, and he said the exact same thing. He's like, I wish, I worked so hard to get it to the NBA, and I wish I could have, or my apologies, NFL. And he was like, I wish I could have gone, but the requirement is that the NCAA requires you to go to college before you can go to the pros, but you know, there's so many risk factors that are involved. Like, yeah, this may be only 2 people, but like I said previously, 90% are injured and 50% play through it. So you never know that, you know, the next injury could be a career-ending injury. And lastly, college athletes being paid can help them financially. College athletes, they're not just athletes, they're also students and athletes. College athletes spend about 40 hours just on sports a week, and on top of that, a full school workload, which comes into a total about 80 hours a week, which is definitely gruesome to the body. And the biggest thing that they need their financial stability is that only 2% of college athletes make it pro. And on top of that, only about 150,000 students only get a scholarship out of 7 million college athletes. And if you break the numbers down, you can see that they deserve at least something, because they are taking out loans and they are unable to work because they are working so hard to try to get into a professional league that, you know, the NCAA is just looking at these college athletes like profit, which is definitely wrong. And, you know, to conclude, you know, if it wasn't for college athletes, the NCAA would not be where it is today. You know, these athletes are putting their bodies on the line, of course for the love of the game, but it's also for enjoyment, entertainment, as well as profits. But the NCAA doesn't see it as these kids cannot work because they have 2 workloads. They're not just pros. They're students and pros, which is double the workload. And the NCAA forgets to see that and put that into account when it comes to stuff like this. And lastly, the NCAA is sitting on $144.1 million left after distributing it throughout D1, D2, and D3. And before I let you all go, think of it this way. If you were a boss of a major firm and your employees are the reason why you're this successful, but you don't pay them, how would those employees feel, and how would they work for you if you're not willing to work for them? Thank you, everyone. I hope you have a great day.